It is No Gifts, Please, the parenting podcast by the pair with no real gifts, but a whole lot of gumption. Hey, everyone, I'm Steve Noviello.
Hello, I'm Jenny Anchondo.
And I wish that we recorded while we we have to tell Spider sometimes, like, interrupt us to get started because we're just sitting here.
Paying for studio time.
Right, what is it?
So we can talk to each other.
We've been renting this room for 20 minutes now and are just now getting started.
That could have been our first episode.
Could have been, right, it was 20 minutes.
We covered everything from why do I eat organic snacks to you purchasing a new car. And everything in between.
Right. We have a big home renovation project that's coming up, and you know how little nuts I am about stuff like that. But anyway, I'm sure it'll all come up. And your wedding ring fits back on your finger, which I'm very excited about for you.
Praise the Lord.
I mean, it's been what happens when you're not pregnant anymore.
It's been a minute. Well, my hands got so swollen. I mean, not to mention obviously like normal pregnancy weight gain. I feel like, but I don't know. Is this common? Does this happen to the rest of you? Like, are you at a point where 3 months before you give birth, your ring doesn't fit anymore?
Yeah, I know people that
is
happen.
it?
Well, and
it was a little embarrassing.
And your band is channel set, so you can't really resize it. Yeah.
I mean, I guess I am unwilling.
Yeah, no,
I'm unwilling. Yeah. To expand it.
Yeah,
at this point,
no need.
So it's back on.
I'm glad for you.
I'm going back to work like in a couple days. Yes. So I was like, I need to, get it back together. Have like a couple outfits that fit and a ring that fits.
You've gotten a haircut and some highlights maybe?
No, I actually just parted it differently because it's so grown out. But it's funny because of course I was thinking during maternity leave, I'm going to go to the dentist. I'm going to like get my moles checked, do a skin cancer. I still have not been able to eat like a warm meal. So none of those things have happened. And I just parted my hair differently to like.
That's great.
Thank you.
You did though, and we're both fresh off of spring break.
Welcome back.
Welcome back to you as well. You and Brighton, just the two of you.
Oh no, the three of us. Me.
Wait a minute, and the baby.
Gemma.
What the heck did your husband do?
Lived his best life, I'm assuming. As we say, somebody's got to pay the bills. So he stayed here and worked. I mean, he's new in his business and really like does not have
enjoy
the luxury.
Our free podcast, by the way.
Yeah, right. He just doesn't have the luxury of taking off a week. Like, yeah,
no, for sure.
And also.
Okay, so is this the first time you've flown with the baby?
Yeah.
How was that? They're kind of easy to fly with at that age.
I might need to move.
To Idaho?
Anywhere but where the people on our flight live and may ever see me again, because she screamed for a solid hour and a half.
That's the worst.
It was so bad. And what was bad is that I'm actively just like standing and bouncing and trying to nurse. I mean, and nursing in public is hard enough and awkward. It's just, and I know that like we should feel empowered to like the babies need to eat and stuff. I'm just not there yet. So you're just trying to feed the baby and she's like on, off, yanking and pulling and yelling and throwing her arms and wailing.
Flailing.
And Brighton's like shoving pacifiers in her mouth. She's trying to put a blanket over me. It was such a scene. It was, and so if you were on our flight, which had gotten delayed by 5 hours.
No.
Yeah. Luckily, we found out before we got to the airport, so it's all good. But still, we didn't land back in Dallas until almost 11 p.m., which contributed to the flailing.
I have hidden out in the men's room on a flight with Hudson. I remember when he was little and we were on our way back from New York and he was just decided no thanks and was just screaming. And we got off the
first
plane.
Class or coach men's room?
No, coach. Four of us that were in coach.
Well, I just, sometimes you can go up to the first class restroom, even if you know what I mean?
Yes.
And then they're really mad.
And then we got off the plane and we saw two people that we knew that had been on the flight. And I was like, oh, kill me.
See, that's how I feel. I feel like certainly because I was standing so much and pacing so much, certainly there was somebody on there who was like, I know that girl.
I remember the first flight we ever took with Jacob. The flight attendant got on and she said, we have a very special guest. I think I've told you this before. We have a very special guest on the plane. Now, either all of you have had a baby or been a baby. So let's make sure that we are extra kind, to him. But I also think that as two dads with a child, people assume we are ill-equipped to care for children.
True.
So we get a lot of leeway. A lot of leeway.
They think, wow, how nice of them to take the kids.
When I'm with the kids at the grocery store, now granted, these days people know who I am and they know. But if I'm at a grocery store that I normally go to it is not unusual for someone to say to me while I'm shopping with the boys, oh, you're babysitting today, or you gave mom the day off, or, you know.
That is so absurd. Like, how is that kind of sexism still alive and well? For you and me both.
Okay. So I have
super rude to me, and it's also a little rude to you.
So falling also under the category of things it probably never crosses your mind that I have to deal with, and I kind of
Okay,
I mentioned this to you on the phone the other day. Okay, so we're back from spring break.
Mm-hmm.
We took the kids on a cruise out of Galveston. And we'll kind of get into the mechanics of all of that.
I can't wait to
but a lot of like, are we there yet? Like, oh, which let's just start there. But what do you, so we did so on the way down, we stopped in the Woodlands, and which was great because it's like 3 hours. We slept overnight. We woke up, had breakfast, and then it's an hour to the ship. It's super easy, right? On the way back, we went straight through. And Hudson, of course, are we there yet? Are we there? When are we going to be there? And at first, I'm like lying to him about the duration of the trip. And then finally, I started lying in the opposite direction, like 6 more hours, buddy, 12 hours. Like I just kind of.
Oh my gosh. And was Jacob like, we're too smart for this man?
Jacob is like, it's actually,
because he'd already calculated it.
And he's sitting in the back seat looking at the GPS and knows what all the numbers correspond to. So anyway, we had a really nice time. We went on a cruise out of Galveston, huge ship. It was beautiful. There was tons for the kids to do. So here's something that I bet you don't think that I have to deal with.
Okay, tell me.
So Hudson decides he wants to go in the hot tub. I'm like, okay, cool. And they had one for kids, whenever near the splash pad. So I was like, yeah, I'll take you. We did a lot of like breaking up our time with the kids, like where I would take one and Doug would take one, and one wants to go to the arcade, one wants to go swimming. It was really nice, and it's more manageable for us. And I think that the kids are so much better behaved when they're not together sometimes. They're not ganging
up on you.
And then they miss each other a little bit. And then, whatever. So Hudson decides he wants to go in the hot tub. I'm like, great, let's do it. So it's him and me. And there we are. Next to us, there is a woman sitting there with her son. And you can tell that she's done. And she's like trying to convince, oh, let's go do this. What about this? Blah, blah, blah. And she's giving him like several things. And he's like, no, I want to stay. And like Hudson's playing and he's kind of playing whatever. And then she offers him ice cream. And I turned to her and I was like, I'd like, hey, so I strike up a conversation with this woman, right? And we're sitting there and we're chit-chatting, whatever. Hudson's playing, her son is playing, her and I are talking. Then all of a sudden, her husband comes up to the hot tub, drink in hand, which might not have anything to do with anything, but I'm just giving you a visual.
I think I know where this is going.
And says, he's like, what's going on? Talk to her. And she's like, oh, what I'm trying to get. And then goes, who's this guy?
With the kids. And there's like the kids in there.
Right.
Yeah.
To me, goes, who's this guy? And my natural reaction was exactly what I just did. I went and laughed in his face, which he did not appreciate.
He did not like that.
He did not like that. And it's like, now I'm at a crossroads. Like, what do
you say?
Right. Do I explain to you that I am a raging homosexual who's like more interested in the cut of your wife's bathing suit than what's underneath it? Like, or.
But also, does she know that?
I don't know. Like, again, like I had like my trucker cap and my dad's sunglasses on, I'm only exposed from the chest up. So most of my flailing appendages are not visible. So,
Oh my goodness. So what'd she say?
So they laughed. And I was like,
they proceeded to get in a fight.
But here's the thing. Now we are on the ship with these people
and you're seeing
for the next 7 days, right?
So
and you've been on a cruise before?
Again. Yes, I've only been on one cruise, but I know how you kind of repeat in the same circles. You see the same people over
There's
and over.
6,000 people on this ship, and yet you see the same 12 people, right? Luckily, I saw her one more time. I did not see him. And I was like, it was just so funny to me. But like that.
No, you're right. I've never thought about that.
It happens. And sometimes too, like I remember when I was at orientation for school for Jacob, and there was a woman there with her husband, and we were all kind of walking out, and I held the door for her or something, and she struck up a conversation with me, and she was like, oh, can you believe they're going to kindergarten? She kind of grabbed my arm and like pulled me in, and I was like, you're I'm like cognizant of that. Like your husband doesn't know what my story is.
Right.
Maybe he does. I don't know.
Right.
You know, but
and you're like also you're like just chances are you're taller than him. Your biceps are bigger than his, just like by ratios of people in the world. Just by general like dad bod statistics, most dads could feel threatened by that.
Correct. Some, not all. Right.
I hadn't thought about that.
Right.
Because I guess I don't have. I mean,
Like if you walked up on Heath chumming it up with some woman in a hot tub,
I would be disinterested in that. Yeah, I would not be happy. I did actually, the other day, our Zahid, who was a guest on the show with Uber, he had posted a picture and I had put like a bunch of fire emojis and stuff on it. And then it was funny because later I was like, I said to Heath, I'm like, does that feel weird when I'm like, oh, you look so hot to my friend who is gay? And he was like, no. Like that. Like, why would you ask me that?
If it was a straight person?
I'm sure. I mean, right. I wouldn't do it to a straight person though. That's
correct.
Like, I probably wouldn't even, I mean, I guess maybe I could think it, but I wouldn't.
Right. Right. Yeah,
I just would kind of like move on. But since he's my friend in a different way, and I think that objectively anybody could look at him and be like, wow, like that's a really good looking picture. Yeah. So I can more comfortably be super public about that. And he's like, that's such a weird question. Why would you ask me that? I'm like, I don't know, because I'm
putting for like us, it's so different. Like I would be hesitant on social media. Like if I saw somebody who I knew was gay, who was also hot, of publicly being like, oh my gosh, you're so hot.
Yeah.
But yet a woman, I would be like, oh my God, you look amazing. This, whatever, or even a straight male,
But if that woman's husband saw it and was like, who's this guy with the biceps?
I mean, literally the guy. Who's this guy?
And you're in the hot tub. Like, I mean, it's so much worse.
Just hanging out with your wife in this hot tub, dude.
She was trying to get your son to go get ice cream, but he wouldn't leave. It's kind of your kid's fault.
It was really funny.
Oh, I had not thought about that. And I just think, I guess Heath had a work situation like that with a female. And I guess I just didn't think about it because I knew. So I was like, oh yeah, hang out with her all you want. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, go out for drinks. Like, yeah, it's not a thing.
Well, and again, like it's also like, granted, there were a lot of viewers on the ship and people were very kind and came over and said hi to the family and whatever else. But I also generally 20 years in here in Dallas exist in a space, as do you, where people generally know who you are and know what your story is. Yep. So there's really no question ever. Right. But in those people did not know.
You don't think sometimes viewers are still surprised though? I mean,
yes. Trust me. Like when I'll mention something and somebody be like, wait, what?
Because if they don't follow you on social media, because it's not like it comes up,
but it'll be on social
often.
media. Oh no. I mean, on social media, every now and again, there'll be something and someone will chime in and be like, wait, what? And everyone will be like, are you headless? Like what? I mean, how are you in this space? Like we've gone through a wedding and 2 surrogacies.
Blame the algorithm.
I mean, blame the algorithm. Yeah, maybe
they're hiding the confirmation bias of they didn't want to see Steve's wedding.
Something.
So how was the cruise? Like what
the cruise was good.
It wasn't Disney. It was just a general
it was Royal
family.
Caribbean. We went on Harmony of the Seas, and it was cool. I mean, Jacob was super into like they had a lot of like statistics about the ship. Like the ship was longer than the Empire State Building is tall. So like if you put
it's
it on,
kind of hard to conceptualize.
It really is. So like, and by the way, you're walking from one end of this ship to the other. Like, I mean, we really, you go on a cruise and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to gain so much weight. We did so much walking just on the ship, that I think I lost a couple pounds actually. Yeah.
Gold.
For sure.
Do you track your steps? Like on your phone?
It tells me automatically. Like I'm not like, you're not
like running in your bathroom before you go to bed.
Like if I'm at CES or something and it's like a massive walking situation, like at a trade show, I'll be interested because my phone will be like melting because you're walking like 20,000 steps or, it's just insane.
That's the best.
An insane amount. But no, the cruise was great. There was tons to do. The kids had a great time. There was a lot of like, there were some lines, although I will say for spring break, it really was not as crowded. I mean, it was packed. There were 6,000 passengers, but it wasn't like lines for everything. There was definitely not a lot of waiting. The boarding and disembarkation process was seamless. I mean, you just walked right onto the ship, which was really great but it was interesting because the kids, I'd be like, oh, we're going to do, like there was this slide that went down like 8 decks. and Jacob really wanted to go on it. And there was a line and he was complaining about the line. And I was like, dude, like, just like, trust me. And of course, then we did it and he loved it. And Hudson, same thing. Like first night I took him to like an ice skating show and we had to get there a little early to get a seat. We had a reservation and, he was complaining about having to wait and, he was getting like almost to the point where I was like, you know what? Like, I'm just going to take you back to the room. But I was like, no, we're going to stick it out. And then of course it starts and he's like, and just love, because I knew he was going to love it because he loved it on the last one. Right. So, we did like a resort for the day. That's a healthy word for what it was, but like, it was, like a kind of like a water park situation. The kids are like, what are we doing today? And I was like, oh, we need your swimsuits. And they're like, we don't want, and I was like, listen, the two of you need to trust that daddies have something fun planned. It's always going to be just like.
What did they want to do instead? Just like hang out on the ship?
They wanted to play in the arcade. They loved the arcade, which my sensible 2 cents part of me, it really goes against every fiber of my being to, in fact, there were a couple of the games. I couldn't
agree more. I feel like I can feel Brighton getting a gambling addiction when she, it escalates so quickly in my brain.
Yeah.
I see that you're loving the arcade. Please know that these coins that you're putting in these toy, the claw's never going to get, except for Heath. That's the problem. Heath does get the toy with the claw somehow.
Jacob did when we were visiting my parents. And I'm like,
but this is not real life. Like, you're not going to win the lottery. I also don't like the arcade, but the kids love it. So.
And I also, in the arcade, I will say, if you're needing some feedback, Royal Caribbean, some of the games were broken. There's not an attendant, but like it'll take your money. You just can't play.
Of course.
Well, I walked my ass down to customer service and I was like, excuse me, like $2.50 a game. And it was 5 times that we tried to play. And like, they're like, would you like your money back? Yeah.
Yeah.
I would.
I've got a pool to pay for.
I've got exactly. Trust me. Talk to me about you were in Idaho.
So we were in Idaho. Yes, I took
which Brighton, I'm sure when your
Gemma.
Parents are there. So
well, that's why I went because it was like it's spring
with
break.
The baby.
It's going to be significantly more fun, even if Gemma cries the entire time.
Correct.
To be there with Brighton so that my parents can like go out on outings with her and do stuff while I'm caring for the baby, as opposed to me caring for the baby and being in Dallas and just like looking at Brighton every day. Like I can't go anywhere for longer than an hour and a half.
Yep.
So it was incredible. She, let's see, we went skiing. That was the one sort of like adventure I did go for. And then hiking. My dad took her to Campfield Mountain, which if you're in the Pacific Northwest, it's like one of the hardest hikes. I mean, even as a kid, like growing up in this very mountain forward family, I never hiked to the top. Brighton did it twice in one, not to the top, but she went like halfway up twice in one day because they forgot a glove or whatever. So that was awesome. They went snow tubing. I mean, they kind of did it all. Made friends with the neighbors across the street.
Love it.
At my parents' house. So like that real neighborhood feel that we actually don't have in our current neighborhood, where you can just look outside the window and it's like, oh, the kids are playing. I'm going to run over. So that was super cute and just like wholesome.
I love it.
Family vibes.
Yeah.
And then, the flight home almost did us in.
Almost. We're taking the kids to my sister's lake house in June.
Oh, fun.
Our friends Reed and TJ are coming.
Yeah.
My parents are coming.
Best uncles.
So I'm really looking forward to, I think Doug's going to love it. It's on a lake and the whole situation. I was talking to some friends of ours actually at Cub Scouts the other night. And they went to like Zion and like to the south rim of the Grand Canyon. And I was like, wow. Like, I mean, first of all, they were 13 hours to Flagstaff or however the heck long it takes to get there. I'm trying to make it back from Galveston without, trying to kill somebody. But they had like a whole, like a van situation and, where there's stuff to do. I'm wondering, because I do love that kind of stuff. And I find sometimes that I put the brakes on stuff because of what I assume is going to be the outcome, as opposed to, it's like contempt prior to investigation, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, would the boys go hiking? Like, would they be like totally?
So I think the lesson I learned from my parents, because I do the same thing, because I'm like, I want to be comfortable too. Like, this is my trip too. I don't want it to be, it's
really not your trip too.
It's really not my trip too. You're right. I have to exist in this space.
Correct.
They'll do whatever you expect them to do and whatever you say is fun. Because I thought, oh my gosh, she's not going to hike back up that mountain. I mean, it was like the best workout I've had in a long time. hiking up the one time. Then she and my dad went back again, and she was like, yeah, we're going back, and I'm going to take some rocks. She had like decorated these rocks. They had found a rock, and it was like a little, like a hidden thing. I don't know if they do this in other places, but like in Coeur d'Alene, people will like decorate rocks and then you'll
leave
find
them.
it. And, yeah.
They do that with rubber ducks on the cruise ship. Hudson was obsessed. They hide rubber ducks. Yeah.
Okay. So like similar. So you kind
clearly the same experience.
I mean, but it was like whatever is expected of them, they will do. Like he thought nothing of taking a 6-year-old on this super intense hike and calling it fun. And I was kind of like, oh, I don't know if this is going to be fun. But she did it. She had a blast. And for, we'll always ask like a few days and, every few days, like, what's your favorite part? What's been the best part? And for several days, she said the hike.
I love it.
She was really proud of herself. And it was like, like a confidence builder. Like I made it to the top and I saw cool views and stuff. Yeah. But I get the apprehension.
Yeah.
Like
when so the lake house that we're going to, my sisters my grandparents built it. And I remember as a kid going up there, and it's in the Poconos, and spending a lot of time and a lot of my summers and whatnot. And my grandparents had a dog, which I believe they got for us. And my mom was like, no. So then it became my grandparents' dog, but that's a story for when
you should never gift an animal. You don't gift an animal.
It's a story for when we have Row on. But I remember some of my greatest memories are going for long walks with my grandfather and the dog. So, and at the time I would like resent that they were so long. But like you could always stop and pick blueberries if you needed a snack type of situation.
Totally.
But he was super walk every day, water only,
health vibes.
Yeah, for sure.
It's true. I think they just do what you expect them to do, and we're kind of scared. We're scared of them being bored. Like it's just a different type of generation. Like whereas we were bored all the time. Like if we went on a road trip, which we did, like we went from Idaho to Texas. I mean, with like, there's no iPads. There's no I don't think there was even a.
Did you have those little bingo, like with a little window, right? That I saw a bale of hay.
Yes, or I would like write or.
Well, so we were when we were
Spy.
Yeah, when we were traveling, Jacob likes his Nintendo Switch in moderation.
All bets are off on a road trip.
So, I forgot to pack it. And I was like,
like enemy number one.
But it was like, you know what? Like, okay, like let's find something else to do.
Yeah.
And not once did he ask for it, and not once did he complain about not having it. And, it was the first thing he picked up when we got home. But like, I was like, okay, you know what? Like Doug had downloaded like a few shows on their iPad because we didn't pay for the Wi-Fi or anything like that, that they could watch as we like had family time before we went to sleep.
Yeah.
Which by the way, like we were in bed by 8:00 every night.
Oh, that's amazing. So you're like well rested.
Yeah, pretty much.
Except for the fact that you're back on mornings.
Right. I'm on mornings right now. So that's a 2 a.m. wake up call. Yeah.
Look at my chair is so low right now. I mean, I'm short, but like. Yeah.
I think it's been sinking throughout the show.
That lady in the hot tub.
I mean, she stayed above water the entire time. I promise you that.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So, and he just kind of.
So he stayed back and worked. Like,
Nice.
And honestly, he did like a bunch of little micro projects, like
that.
Hanging up Brighton's artwork, like putting. Well, we lost our dog recently, so like that's just been so. Let's
talk about that. So when our dog died, we didn't tell the kids, and we just waited to see if they would notice.
Well, of course they noticed.
It took a week. Until they were like, "Where's the dog?"
Wait, how old were they at the time, though?
We lived in our current house, and we've only been there for 4 or 5 years. So within the last couple of years, you guys we didn't say anything.
That is terrible.
Then they were like, "Hey, where's the dog?" And she was a Weimaraner, so she was 60 pounds.
Right.
I mean, not that Charlie would have, but was a much smaller dog.
No.
So we were like, she went to go live with her dog friends somewhere else. And they were like, oh, okay. And we were like, oh my God, score. No. Well, get this. A week later, Jacob, I think it was Jacob, says, hey, when's Sam coming back?
Oh.
And I was like, oh.
Backfired, didn't it?
Ooh,
that's not.
I said, she's not, buddy. He said, well, why not? What? I said, well, she's having fun with her dog friends, and that's where she's going to live now. Well, doesn't she have fun here? I was like, oh my God, and then like it kind of went away, and then like one of them drew a picture of her, and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. See?
Like I tried to totally avoid the whole, because who wants to talk to at the time, a 3 and a 5-year-old about death and the fact that life ends at some point and daddies really aren't going to be here forever. Like I tell you all the time, like at one point you're going to throw me in the ground and
Brighton's obsessed with finding out people's ages and then finding out how long the people in their family have lived. So like I get where you're coming from with not talking about death. I mean, she's always like asking my parents like, now how old are you again? And how long did your parents live? And what did they die from? I mean, this is like, it's intense. She knows what an embryo is. I mean, she's just very like, just wants to know about the life cycle. The second she got home from the cheer competition, we were trying to get him into an emergency surgery and he did not make it to the surgery. And so as soon as she got home, she was like, where's Charlie? Because he always greets us at the door.
Yeah.
And yes, there's been a lot of pictures, and tonight we're going to
do like a little So how did you do the conversation? Because clearly I need some tips here.
I mean, I don't know, like, I don't know that this is the right thing because I have a child who asks everybody like their family lineage and health history, like she's your medical professional. But
you got a decoy dog and pretended he's still alive?
No, it's just like when we gave her a different stuffy when she lost hers, immediately she's like, this isn't it. Like, this isn't the one.
We used to rotate in and out. We had 4 of the same and rotated them in and out for wear.
That's smart.
Yeah.
No, we just, he died. I mean, she wanted to know.
Sorry, girl, he's dead.
And it sounds like he had cancer and this is what happened, which I really wish I wouldn't have said that because then there's a lot of questions about cancer and what causes it and things like that. But I guess it's just then there won't be questions later about you lied to me. Because we definitely told her, like she definitely knows, and we cremated him. We've just got his ashes. We're going to do a ceremony tonight. And maybe that's like not age appropriate. If you're an expert in like grief or something, please let me know. But we also
tonight.
Immediately, like can we rush, get this episode out there so I can redirect. But I mean, even after we had a miscarriage, she knew. So she knew that happened. So
I will say,
like the death.
I will say I was very impressed by how frank you were with her during all of that. I mean, again, you'll remember she is the one who told us at the playground that you were pregnant the first time. So she kind of spilled the beans there. So she knew what was going on the whole time. And again, you were very honest with her about what was happening and what was going on. And I don't know, is it something too heavy to handle? I guess we're going to find out in a few years.
She has actually chatted with a boy in her class whose mom went through a similar situation and they sort of bonded over it. And again, I don't know that that's like age appropriate, but it is the situation. And there's no way, like I was obviously pregnant.
Yeah.
So there was no way to be like, oh, I'm magically not. Weird.
Right. Well, I think you had told me that she said, oh, I had a brother, but he died. Mm-hmm. And I was like, wow, that's heavy.
Yeah. And she told her classmate this, and luckily he was like, me too. I mean, not luckily, but like they had, kids they're just like, think sometimes more mature than we give them credit for.
100%. Because they don't have all of the other ancillary noise.
Totally.
It's right. I'm dealing with this thing in this moment and then it's done. Like, not like you know what? As adults, we play chess with one another and kids play checkers, right?
Yeah.
It's this move and that's it. Whereas I'm like thinking 2 steps ahead and how do I break this to you without the consequence of hurting? And it's like, or I could just be honest.
Like they have to know.
Yeah. Just like with us, with our kids, with, you're Jacob's dad. Jacob has 2 dads. Yep. Okay. Move on.
Yeah, totally.
As opposed to like, well,
it's not an event.
Sometimes it's like, no, Jacob has 2 dads.
Yeah.
Boom. That's it.
When Breton realized it, 2 dads. And then done.
She's done.
Yeah.
All right. We are also done because our timer's going to go off here. In fact, we probably went a little over, but that's what it is. But we hope you are not done. We want you to join us every Tuesday morning when a new episode drops, 7 a.m. wherever podcasts are available. We hope that you click like and subscribe so we can keep bringing you the things that we like too. And if you do nothing else today, go find yourself a friend you don't need to clean the house for. We'll see you soon.